the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. Reactions to results of the Canada and Trinidad and Tobago elections. And in second watch, Haiti. Why is this situation worsening? For our social media question, we ask, why is the situation in Haiti worsening? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-9973-125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on in the program, but first, as I quote.
All right, today's I quote says, "You cannot look in a mirror with a frown and expect to see a smile."
Sounds very true. Sounds so true. And sometimes, again, with these kinds of I quotes, the author is unknown.
Unknown.
Good morning, Drakal.
Good morning, good morning.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
It's almost here, an evening of worship this Thursday, May 1, at the Welcome Park New Testament Church of God, 65 Welcome Park Road, hosted by Pastor Donnie McClurkin. The Pastors and Church Leaders Forum in the Banquet Hall at 5 p.m. with presenters Pastor Donnie McClurkin from Perfecting Church, New York, Reverend Dr. Rowan Ambersley from the New Testament Church of God, Sterling Castle Heights, and Pastor Dwight Fletcher from the Transformed Life Church, TLC. Then the doors open for all for the evening of worship with presentations from Nadine Blair, Audience of One, the Welcome Park New Testament Church of God Praise Team, and Pastor Donnie McClurkin. This Thursday, May 1, at the Welcome Park New Testament Church of God, 65 Welcome Park Road, hosted by Pastor Donnie McClurkin. Don't you miss it.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. The Liberal Party of Canada has been declared winners of their national elections. On the same day, Monday, April 20th, the United National Congress was proclaimed the winner of the Trinidad and Tobago elections. How have the respective citizens responded to these results? Well, is it relief? Is it disappointment or surprise? We have as our guest today, in terms of Canada, Sean Clew, lead pastor of Pathway Community Church. And for Trinidad and Tobago, we have Rickwen Allen, teacher and youth minister. Rickwen Allen, Sean Clew, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Starting with you, Sean Clew, in terms of Canada. Mark Carney, the winner of the elections in Canada, your thoughts?
Well, I just want to say congratulations to the new Prime Minister. It has been a whirlwind of an election the last 6 weeks, but especially seeing that we were going into an election from last year, coming up where the Conservative Party was supposed to be hands down the winner, which should have been a landslide, but we call it here in Canada the Trump bounce. Once Donald Trump started making overtures about Canada being the 51st state, once the tariffs kick in, persons just got very nervous, and we saw a major swing once Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepped down. A major swing towards Carney. Hence, they have won. It's a minority government, but it's the highest voter turnout Canada has had since 1993.
Mark Carney is described in some quarters as a globalist leader. How does he square with Donald Trump, who is positioned as a nationalist for the United States of America?
From what I'm hearing from the media and the public, many people don't know, because he himself has said that he's a globalist. And that has made persons in many quarters wonder how that is going to work. I should point out to us very quickly that though the Liberal Party won the elections, the populist vote was overwhelmingly conservative. Overwhelmingly, the Liberal Party won more seats, more ridings, but in terms of the popular vote, was conservative. So we have a very divided country right now.
Very interesting. Rick Allen, teacher, youth minister, sir. Rick Allen?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Kamla Prasad Bisesa. She's back again. Your thoughts?
Yes, she is at the young age of 73. She's back for a second term. And it is not a surprise, quite frankly,
Was that
because
a sexist remark? At the young
absolutely
age of
not.
73.
Absolutely not.
Is that
Absolutely not.
ageism? Are you pushing and promoting ageism? Sounds like
No,
discrimination,
no,
Rick Allen.
no. Actually, in some quarters, it was felt that, she should have or could have stepped aside and made way,
Because she's a woman.
for.
Because she's a woman.
No, no.
If she were a man, would you make such a comment, Rick Allen?
But here's the thing. Interestingly,
Yeah,
the former ruling party, the
yeah,
PNM,
yeah,
their leader, Dr. Keith Rowley,
yeah.
he stepped aside and made room for someone younger. The conditions under which that happened, is subject to much debate, and there's some disquiet. But
Yeah.
he saw it fit, to make room for someone younger to hold the reins of power.
So you're saying that Kamla Prasad Bisesa should have done something similar. She should have stepped aside.
Well, I'm not saying she should have, because clearly, it worked in her favor. She's back, you know. But I think there's a perception that, there's time for change, and change in the sense of, you know, young blood in the political arena, young blood aspiring to and holding power at the highest level.
Interesting. I won't say much more about that now because Joe Biden was of a particular age and so is Donald J. Trump, but I leave that alone for now. But I want to ask you this, Rick and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, she had some interesting things to say about vaccination at a particular point in time. I'm reading from a headline here that was published in the Daily Express about September the 17th, I gather, 2024, written by Anna Ramdas. Just the headline I'm going to read, though, not the entire article. It reads, Kamala stands by fake vaccine comments, claims people experiencing poor health, side effects. Do you think comments like that or headlines like that filtered into her becoming prime minister again, or you don't think that that is relevant? Because hardly any world leaders make such comments. It's interesting that she did.
Well, I don't think a comment like that really would have held much weight. There were much weightier issues, that concerned the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I am sure that, she, in her defense, she would say that the results now, what we're hearing now from, pharmaceutical companies, from, people who have suffered, from the adverse effects of vaccination. She may very well feel vindicated by her comments.
Well, she was speaking in particular about the health treatments for COVID-19 in terms of vaccination. Now, what were some of the hot button issues that were affecting people in Trinidad and Tobago, or that were uppermost in the minds of the average Trinidadian and persons from Tobago? Because you mentioned you touched on one thing that was an issue. What were the issues broadly that persons from the Twin Island Republic were concerned about?
Well, the number one issue really was that of crime. And we know that crime has a ripple effect, across the land, across the nation.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, 2 years in particular, the murder toll would have crossed 600, and that was unprecedented. And the ruling party did not seem to show itself to be very, very firm on the issue of crime. There were calls for, a new Minister of National Security and that sort of stuff. And, the Prime Minister seemed to be a little reluctant, to impose those types of changes. Although there was a state of emergency imposed at the end of last year, coming into this year, it really did not work in the minds and the eyes of people as it should have, or as it could have. And so crime was the number one issue, and all the effects of crime, the feeling of safety on the part of citizens, how it impacts, the climate for business, for investments. Business owners have left the country, and so that, would affect employment and a number of other different issues. So crime would have been one. The economy was another one. There were issues in terms of how the government handled, certain matters. One of those matters had to do with the Auditor General, and that matter reached to the Privy Council, and the population was very dissatisfied, and we did not see that sense of, okay, we are doing something about this. And so those are two issues. We have the foreign exchange crunch that has affected, a lot of people. There's the perception that, Forex is being held, just for a few, and the masses are getting a little pittance. And the last thing I would say is that...
hold that for a second, though, sir, because I gather we are upon a break. So hold that last point you want to make in terms of issues that were relevant to these elections in Trinidad and Tobago. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Recycling Partners of Jamaica. Yeah, we got to make a change, and we have to do it now, can't wait for later. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies and in the drains. Recycling Partners of Jamaica. we put plastic in its place. Well, I said no matter about your class or status or title, got to be responsible and recycle. Yes, we have talk about plastic buckle boat. You have to make sure say that the right type to. So look for the triangle with the one or two. But not no matter could a yellow or blue. You have to just make sure them empty, collect them plenty, recycling revenue. So listen up, Jamaica, I'm saying it's time to make a change. Recycling partners of Jamaica, we put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that we'll be safer than in the gullies in the every veins. Recycling partners of Jamaica, we put plastic in its place.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Jamaica, it's your turn to triple the blessings. Saturday, May 24, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, and Sunday, May 25, Montego Bay Community College. Performances by the Foster Triplets. 4 days late, Karen Peck and New River, Joan Myers, and the saxophonist Ricky Niles. For more information, visit thefostertriplets.com. Contact 876-478-3604 via WhatsApp or call 876-475-0521. Triple the blessings.
Part proceeds in aid of the Jamaica Christian School for the Deaf and the Salvation Army School for the Blind.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and we're looking at the topic reactions to results of the Canada and Trinidad and Tobago elections. Our guests are Sean Clue, Canada, Rickwen Allen, Trinidad and Tobago. Rickwen Allen, you were indicating a point you wanted to conclude with in terms of your opening thoughts, or some of your thoughts in any event. And you had moved on to talk about the foreign exchange issue, and you were going to mention something else. Please go back to your point and continue, sir.
Sure. Quickly, the issue of wage increases.
Yes.
Outstanding, wage increases that are due to so many workers, and the difficulty that
Is that what you
workers,
meant? Is that what you meant by pittance? Was that the word you used?
I don't recall using the word I don't recall using that word, but
You made reference to a word indicating something very small. But anyway,
okay.
continue.
Yeah. So workers have been struggling, to get, their increases, and during the course of last year, the Salaries and Review Commission approved an increase for members of Parliament. There's a range of workers, including the Prime Minister and ministers of government and so on, that amounted to over 40%. So here it was that workers, who are the engine room basically of the country, being denied, their little pittance, to use your term. And the senior officers, being paid many times more, and that really drew the ire of a lot of people.
I see. So whatever word you used, we leave it there, sir. Rick and Allen. Going back to you, Sean Clue, I find that I'm not hearing much about this, but sometimes you have some issues which are sort of a little bit below the surface, and they can maybe inform people's choices. But we're going to ask you, sir, did Mark Carney get a lot of support from what in Canada is the transgender community concerning his own child, who was formerly Sophia, now known as Sasha, who identifies as being neither male nor female, is non-binary, it is said, and goes by the pronouns they, them. Did that filter into how he was viewed in any way? Did it help to make him appear more liberal and more progressive, in that he would have supported his child in this situation? Or do you think for the average Canadian, it was neither here nor there? How did it affect
No,
conservative
I think it
versus those
was.
who are not conservative?
I think it was. I think it was. It was an issue. I think it was a factor in terms of for those who are left leaning or liberal leaning. Uh, it wasn't a factor. I think for people, conservative persons. People in Canada. Conservatism in Canada is not like conservatism in the United States.
So I've come to find out, Mister.
Yeah,
So I've come to
like
find out it's quite different, Mister Clue. So I noticed. Go ahead,
yeah,
but maybe you can explain for the
it's
benefit
quite
of the listeners.
different. But I
Yeah.
do think it factored in. It factored in, and I think subtly he made himself to be the person who is an advocate for equality for all persons on the spectrum, on the gender spectrum. And it mattered. One of the things I've heard one news pundit was saying was that kind of seemed to leaning more into the left. I don't know how is that possible because former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was very extremely left, and but we know for certain it played out that the opposition, Pierre Polyev, was leaning more conservative, which kind of made some persons nervous. Persons were, unfortunately, or for depending on where you stand,
Yeah.
people seem to see him more like a U.S. Republican figure. His, some of his Christian values played into certain things, some of his policies, and when you have conservative and liberal generally around the world, you have liberals who generally believe in taxation, high taxation to fund programs. Conservative seems to cut taxes and try. You're always hearing them boasting that we don't increase taxes or we're cutting taxes. That was playing in the favor of Pierre Polyev at one point, but the Donald Trump factor, as I said, people are looking at how do we fund, how does Canada get out of this tariff situation, and so the bounce went
Interesting.
to our
Interesting.
attorney.
Interesting. And what I noticed about Pierre Polivier, I hope I didn't mispronounce his name, of Polivier, yes, um, is that he was very critical of Donald Trump and the tariffs, and he seems to be quite supportive of a number of things which an American conservative would regard as being kind of liberal. So maybe you can explain the distinctions between conservatives in Canada versus what they call conservatives in the United States. How do you understand the distinction?
What I can say, a lot of persons, because we are on this side of the hemisphere, and Canada is just like the the brother to the United States. Many people think that our populations and our philosophies are the same. If you look into the whole dynamics of Canadian ideology, we tend to be more like Europe than we are like the States.
I see.
So think of Canada more like Germany or France, or that is how we think. So even in conservative circles in Europe, it's more left leaning than what would be in the United States. And
Yes,
I
so
think Canadians are very
the average conservative in Canada might actually come across as a liberal to an American.
yes, for sure.
I
And
see.
it's confusing to some of my American friends that I was even talking to yesterday. It's very confusing to them, but that
Yes,
is
it's
how
just that maybe the Liberal Party in Canada is probably just that much more liberal than
very,
that
very much
Conservative
so.
Party in
Yeah,
Canada, because I noticed that when I was reading about the distinctions, I was saying, but they sound like they're both liberal parties to me.
yeah.
Okay, understood, sir. Thank you. Now, in terms of the mood now in the country, in Canada, in terms of both sides of the political divide. And by the way, I know that there are other parties in Canada. You have another conservative party, which I gather is much more conservative, perhaps more like the Americans. But
yes,
they,
PPP. Yeah, the PPP.
yes, but they barely get any votes, it seems.
Yeah.
Yes, they barely get any votes. But what is the mood generally like on the various sides of the political divide, if I could use that term, or divides in Canada at the moment?
Well, first time for a long time, we don't have a third party in Parliament. The NDP, that was they considered the third party, they have lost party status. So the race was between the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party. Funnily enough, I should say that both leaders of the Conservative Party and the NDP, which was in Parliament, both leaders, they lost their seats.
Interesting.
Pierre Poilievre lost. Pierre Poilievre lost
the head of the NDP. He lost his seat too.
He lost his seat. But what is happening in the Conservative Party is that someone is willing now to be the sacrificial.
To give up their seat.
To give up their seat to Pierre Poilievre, because they see him as that much of a influential leader.
Yes. I gather that someone in the Conservative Party led by Pierre Poilievre might give up their seat to give it to him, or to let him have it, which I found interesting.
For sure.
I found that quite interesting. So, Minister Allen, the mood now in Trinidad and Tobago on both sides of the political divide, what's the mood like there? I know that in Trinidad and Tobago there might also be a little bit of a racial element involved. Indians versus those who are non-Indian or blacks, persons of African descent, and of course you have persons who are mixed. So what's the dynamic there now like in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, so in the UNC camp, and those who would have aligned themselves with the UNC, there is much joy, happiness. Many people feel a sense of relief, because this new change provides a fresh opportunity, a fresh wind, hopefully. And so there's a looking forward to what the new administration is going to bring.
Well, it's a new administration, but it's also Kamala Prasad Bisesa back, and she's known to be somewhat, can I say, firebrand of a type of leader. She tends to just speak her mind. I don't mean spout in a bad way, but she just says what she wants to say. What do Trinidadians expect from her this time around?
I think there's a sense of expectation. Yes. Because a lot of people, felt that, listen, we need a change. We need a change. Yeah. And there's the saying that parties are more voted out than voted in.
You might have a point there. You might have a point there.
So on the PNM side, there'll be disappointment, of course. I think there's some anger.
Only because of time, I'm going to ask you this quickly. Any racial undertones here or no?
Racial undertones?
Yes.
In terms of
Indians versus blacks in Trinidad and Tobago is an open secret. People know that they are
that always rears its ugly head at this time. Always.
I see.
Yeah, it's inescapable, but it's part of our reality. And as a people, we have to make a decision to move beyond that and understand that country is greater than ethnicity.
Understood. Very interesting. Well, I think we're completely and totally out of time, gentlemen. Never enough time in the morning watch, but very interesting discussion with both of you in terms of the elections just last Monday here this week in both countries, Canada and in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Pastor Clue, Minister Allen, thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you so much. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Open a deposit account in the JN Bank Savings Streams promotion and save monthly for a chance to win an all-expenses paid trip to Peru. Enter now. The time by JN Bank Savings Streams promotion is
7:30.
Get the inside scoop. Tune in to Budget Bites, a brief breakdown of the 2025 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. It's an informative snapshot of the budget and what it means for you. Don't miss Budget Bites, bite-sized insights into the Prime Minister's vision for Jamaica. Budget Bites, unpacking the budget for you.
We are by your side, looking after life. We've been here for 25 years and we are
Guardian Life.
Just getting started, leading the way every day, protecting you and yours at every stage.
Guardian Life.
Looking after life, caring for family, caring for you. Looking after life is what we do.
For every generation, for every stage, your partner for 25 years. Guardian Life.
Looking after life.
Attention, Jamaica. Fenty Beauty has arrived. Now available exclusively at Fontana Waterloo and Fontana Montego Bay. Join us in store to find your perfect foundation and skincare routine with Fenty Beauty and Fenty Skin today.
Welcome back. You're tuned into the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have in the Gleaner, Westmoreland man allegedly held with gun and ammunition during traffic stop. Also in the Gleaner, fluoride ban. Well, let me start from the beginning of the headline. Florida is poised to become second state to ban fluoride from public water systems. And we have also in the Gleaner, Wholeness wears blue in support of police, calls for balance in discussions on police killings. We turn now to the Observer, the Jamaica Observer. PNP government will accelerate use of body-worn cameras by police. And we also have here in the Jamaica Observer, hostile JTC bill will push more teachers to migrate. And that by PNP. And the story is written by Observer online reporter Dana Malcolm. We now turn to Loop Jamaica News. JTC Act could accelerate teacher migration. PNP's Russell. It's attributed to PNP's Russell. We also have in Loop Jamaica News, JFJ protesters call for mandatory body cameras, police reform. And there are many other stories in our various news sources. Of course, coming up next, we'll read feedback from our Facebook and YouTube and WhatsApp question, which is, why is the situation in Haiti worsening? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, love, 1FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
On the next episode of The Mailbox, we'll be focusing on the Great Exchange. A great exchange can represent the trade of worldly desires for spiritual growth and a deeper relationship with God. It can symbolize the exchange of doubt for faith, trust and conviction. You are invited to join the conversation with Minister Paul Blake as he shares his journey from the Bloodfire Posse to Bloodwash Servant of God. The mailbox is brought to you by Solid PVC Pipes, manufactured in Jamaica by Fosrich Company Limited. That's Wednesday, April 30 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station Love 101. The mailbox, Monday.
Pick up like a storm, a 90 from him born. Which part of him man are God? God, when you
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We move right into the second watch. With all the help in the world, why is the situation in Haiti getting worse? One newspaper has reported that armed gangs are in control of almost the entire capital, but they are increasingly targeting towns in other areas of the country. In one attack, they released a reported 500 inmates from jail. Quote, total chaos and a point of no return in Haiti, unquote, was one headline. It's the big question of the day. Why is the situation in Haiti worsening? In fact, just out of interest, I did an internet search, and the result which came up, I think it was AI generated. It said that 90% of the capital of Haiti is under the control of gangs. We have as our guest this morning Frederic Boiron, political and social analyst, lecturer at McGill University, Canada, and Dr. Giulio Volsi, president and CEO, Teen Challenge Haiti, senior pastor, Rendezvous Christ Church, and he's also an author. Dr. Volsi, Monsieur Boiron, are you both on?
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Good morning. Thank you both for accepting the invitation. Because if what we are hearing is true, we are wondering what are your current reactions and thoughts. We're going to start with you, Dr. Volsi. Not because we don't think that Monsieur Baron couldn't make the first comment in his capacity, certainly as an academic, but Dr. Volsi, you're on the ground. From what it appears here, what on earth is happening in Haiti at the moment?
Well, I was definitely looking to hear what Professor Brown would say, but for me, I think it has been a conversation for quite some years now.
90% of the capital is reportedly under the control of gangs. Is it a lie, or is it the truth, or is there some truth to it?
It is the truth. It is the truth, and I'm wondering if it's only 90%, it might be even more. But the problem.
You think it might be more?
Oh, I think it might be more. I live
Okay,
here.
so stick up in, because you're kind of glossing over this. Not saying you're doing so deliberately, but that's my view. Now, if the Prime Minister of Jamaica wants to pick up the phone and call the head of Haiti, who is going to answer the phone?
I believe right now will be probably France Fridjan will probably be the guy, or probably the Prime Minister.
90% of the capital is under the control of gangs. That's the point I'm making. If you are sending a diplomatic note to Haiti, who is going to actually respond to the note?
Are you referring to me or to the professor?
Yes, Dr. Volsi. Because
for me we all know that Haiti is not being led. So we do have men in position with titles, but the lack of leadership of this country. We do have men with great education, great communicators, but there's a lack of leadership, and so yes, we have people who will answer the phone. Now I don't know what the outcome of the response would look like, because the country's not being led.
Dr. Valsi, hold that thought for a moment. Professor Boiron, your thoughts, because you heard what I asked Dr. Valsi, and Dr. Valsi seems to be very gracious and kind in his response. Or is it that I am thinking this is worse than I'm
It's
hearing? I don't know.
it's worse than what you're hearing, and it's probably worse than what also Giulio Bossi is telling you. Um, but he's on the ground. I'm not. I'm in Montreal, Canada, so he's feeling it more than I can feel it. But numbers that we have tell us that yes, more than 90%. Last year it was 70% of the city of Port-au-Prince that was under the control of the gang. This year it's 95 or more. So if the Prime Minister of Jamaica would take the phone to call in Haiti, yes, it's true. Officially, Dr. Volsi is right. It's Fritz Jean who is the leader of the Council of Government in Haiti that would answer. But if he really wants to get an answer from anybody who's leading the country right now, he probably would have to talk to one of the gang leaders in Haiti right now. And that is serious. And that is the real drama of the country right now. In fact, Dr. Valsi told you on paper, the Fritz Jean and his group are leading the country, but in fact, nobody is leading anything. We're in a chaos in Haiti right now, where no one knows who's leading the country, and probably nobody is leading the country, and that's the reality. When that happened, is when you start saying, and Dr. Vossi is probably a better place than me to tell you this. What's happening right now in Haiti is that citizens are getting armed to defend themselves. So that means the regulatory organs of a society, which is army, police, and so are not able to do their job. So citizens are taking on them to protect their lives and their goods. That's what's happening in Haiti right now. It is why I call it a civil war.
This sounds like you're on the brink of, or in some sense, already operating as if it is the wild, wild west. Professor Boiron?
Well, you know,
I know you're not there, but
I'm not there, but still, I've been working on Haiti for most of my academic life. Is what I've been saying, and I've said it to Canadian authorities at many times. I was invited to talk to people who are in charge of international affairs in Canada. What I've been telling them is what we're seeing in Haiti. Not only it's a civil war, but we're getting closer every day. We're getting closer to a social explosion where people are going to be part of it. The regular citizen will have no choice than to get into the fight against the gangs, because there is no organs in that democratic system who is supposed to protect them. They are not effective. So when that happens, what's going to happen in Haiti, if nothing changes, is going to be a total chaos. And I think we're on the brink of it.
So, Dr. Volsi, thank you, Professor Boiron. So, Dr. Volsi, the business class in Haiti, the regular people, what is happening with all the various segments of the population there?
Well, there is no such thing in Port-au-Prince, in the capital. The capital is just total chaos. Like Brown said, people are not living. Personally, myself, I have to change homes. If I sleep in a place tonight, probably the next night I'll probably have to sleep somewhere else. And so, since I have so many friends, so our friends
Hold
been
that thought 1 second, Dr. Volsi, because what you just said is very serious, because that's now making you nomadic. Hold that thought. But we're upon a break already. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the morning watch.
Jamaica's gangs are like packs of rats.
Nasty.
They live in filth and try and drag us all in there with them, spreading the disease of violence and corruption everywhere.
Nasty.
But like a pack of rats, they can be eliminated with your help. If you have information on gangs, call Crime Stop on 311. This message is brought to you by Crime Stop and their marketing partners, Lime and NCB.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the par, travel par, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Are you ready for something mega? Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels Tour promotion, April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Grace, Walker's Wood, Downing, CBJ Daiquiri, and Carriers. Juice Concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart, best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Rating Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is Haiti. Why is the situation worsening? Why is the situation worsening? Our guests are Frederic Boiron, Professor Frederic Boiron, and he is a political and social analyst, lecturer at McGill University, Canada, and Dr. Julio Bolsi. He is actually in Haiti, and he's president and CEO of the Haiti Teen Challenge and senior pastor, Rendezvous Christ Church, and author and active member of civil society. Dr. Bolsi, just before the break, sir, you told us that I'm paraphrasing, from night to night, you may not sleep in the same location because you have to be moving from place to place to avoid the effects of gangs having taken over much of the country. Dr.
Yes. Yes, and that is a fact. It's because there's no one else to pretty much protect me as a citizen, so I have to protect my own self. Now,
and you mentioned because you have a lot of friends, which is what has helped you to keep finding somewhere to go to night by night if you need to change location.
Definitely. So we have.
What about those who don't have as many friends as you?
I mean, you know, let's focus on the let's try and find some solution. We know the situation. I believe now.
Before we go to the solutions, Dr. Volsi, before we go to the solutions, what has led to the gangs acquiring this much power and authority?
Again, it's the lack of leadership. I've been saying it for years now. There was no one leading the country. There's a vacuum of leadership, and the gangs are taking advantage of that. So that's why, since
I ask, because although we are trying our best to cauterize the crime situation in Jamaica, we are making a lot of strides here. We have a lot of gangs here, and there are a lot of guns out there, which is why I think for a country like Jamaica, we can't just do this as a regular morning watch topic and just move on as if we just did a topic this morning. It's a very relevant matter.
For me, is as a citizen of Haiti who actually live here, and when I returned back in 2010 to Haiti, I came to work specifically with the troubled youth, gangs, young men and young women who have no one to lead them, who have no role models, who actually got involved in gangs. So for me, I believe now we are in a position where no one is capable to fix the problem in Haiti. So that's why I'm calling for a national dialogue. And I've been actually promoting that through radio and TVs, because the best thing that we can do is to actually sit on the table, as citizens, and for Haitians to find a solution with the problem. We're grateful for what, country like Jamaica is doing and other places, but obviously it's getting worse. I was in Jamaica myself 2 years ago, I believe, in June, with 45 stakeholders. We are hoping that we're going to get a solution. We put 9 people leading the country, and the outcome has not been beneficial to the Haitian people. 1 million people were forced to leave their home. Average Haitian cannot sleep in their homes. 95% of the capital are now controlled by armed gangs. So now I believe that it is time for Haitians to sit down and to have a conversation with all of us, including those who are carrying the weapons. So this is this is what I've been saying for quite some time, and I'm going to continue
So, Dr.
to
Volsi,
advocate for that.
you're indicating that the only practical way to resolve this is to have even some of the gang members at the table to discuss
Yeah,
peace.
yeah. Either we have you and Cam and did what they done in the past, came and kill a few young men and pretend that there is peace, and then a few years later things come back to normal. You know, normal for Haiti because Haiti's been this way for quite some
But
times now.
Dr.
Or
Volsi, if I
or
could jump in, Dr. Volsi, only because of time, some
uh-huh.
people would argue that if gang members are at the peace table, then you have the devil at the table discussing peace, which means you will
Well,
have no
you
peace.
know what? Let it be because the devil's taking over. So my case is we need to have a conversation with the gangs and also the population who being actually affected by this gang situation. So therefore, that will lead to a justice, that will lead toward forgiveness, that will lead toward reparation, and hopefully that will be some reconciliation. But in order to do that, we need either the international community, the UN probably, or CARICOM, or the Haitian government to lead us in this situation. So we need to have a dialogue.
What a situation you have found yourselves in that lovely country, Haiti. I know that Haiti has so much potential and is so rich in resources. What a situation you're in. Dr. Valsi, who controls the airports and the various ports of entry by sea? Are the gangs in control of those as well?
I would say that I would say the government, but obviously we have no
The
flight to
formal
Port-au-Prince.
government still controls the airports.
Yes, I would say that. Yeah, but we have no flight out of Port-au-Prince. If I need to travel, I was supposed to go to a board meeting last week, and the chaos is so difficult to travel. I said, you know what? Let me just say because I think me promoting this conversation, hopefully, our government leaders and friends from from the international community will understand that now, if this problem need to be fixed by Haitians for Haitians, we need to have a dialogue. That's include with those who are actually we call
Heard
them
you loud
gang
and clear on
members.
that one, Dr. Valsi, although personally I
It's a
don't
bit noisy
believe
here. That's why it's a bit noisy here. That's why I'm
yes,
talking so
yes, I
loud and
realize.
fast.
But Dr. Valsi, in terms of the media, uh, are the gangs influencing the public airwaves now in Haiti?
I think the gangs using a lot of media to promote their wrongdoing. There's no doubt about it. But everybody's afraid. It's. I mean, you'd have to be here to understand. There is no life in Haiti. So at this time, I would say the gang control everything, everything. In order for me to have a church service, I have to have people from the army to come to my church. But it's because I know them. Those who don't know them, most their church doors are closed. So therefore, there's no life in Haiti. I can't remember the last time I went to a restaurant to have a meal with a friend. I work mostly from home. It's there's no life in Port-au-Prince. So therefore, even if someone probably have the title, for example, I am the pastor of my church, the leader of my organization, but honestly, I'm not in charge because the gang can decide if I'm not going to open my office or not. So I only open my office because, they don't say that to Pastor Volsi to close your door. So no one is in charge in Haiti but the gang.
And do you feel rejected and ignored in Haiti, Dr. Valsi? Is it that you find yourselves in a situation where it appears as if, yes, there's acknowledgement and there is even practical assistance, but in reality, deep down at the end of the day, you still feel a sense of abandonment?
Yes and no, because I said yes because Haiti is part of a big family. But I said no because we have a lack of leaders in Haiti. I believe the 9 people who are in power now could have used the influence to help move the country forward, and they are
Because
not doing it.
the international media is flooded with so many other stories, but yet this is happening right now in your precious country, and I don't think we're giving enough attention to it. Professor Boirond,
It's
what do
not
you
their job to fix
recommend?
it for us. It is our job to fix it. So it's not the international's job to fix it. We have to have the will to do it. Obviously, those who are leading now, they don't show the desire to fix it. So I'm not going to blame the international community. I think it starts here with the Haitian leaders.
Understood, Professor Boirond. What do you recommend as a way out of this?
Uh, Um, I just want to get back to something you said about the gangs in Jamaica.
Yes,
There are gangs in every country.
yes.
So, but gangs are not trying to take over the government. And what's happening in Haiti is that those gangs,
Thankfully, Professor Boirond, in
thankfully,
Jamaica, they are not
thankfully,
doing so. Well, to my
yeah,
knowledge,
but
they are not doing so. Yes.
what's happening in Haiti is there are gangs, criminal gangs, but also gangs who are militias. They want
But if
to
I could ask
overthrow
you
the
pause a
government.
second, one moment, Professor Boiron. My understanding is that certainly in the past, I can't speak to 2025, for the police to go into certain areas, if the persons running those communities who are gang members did not give you the nod, you couldn't really enter.
There
But
you go.
continue,
Because
Professor Boiron.
they control some areas, and Dr. Vossi just said it. They control the airport. You can't fly out of the country without their if they don't want you to. They control the country. So I've been saying it for the past 3 years. What's happening in Haiti is a civil war. Those gangs are not only criminal gangs, they are militias who are trying to take control of the country. It's just a matter of time that they declare that they are ruling the country, because the leadership in Haiti right now is going nowhere. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that this group of leaders that was put together by the CARICOM are political enemies. They can't work together. They
Oh,
absolutely can't work together. And
I see.
that's one of the key problem in Haiti right now.
And to get around that problem, they are enemies. So how would that be fixed in your view, Professor Boiron? Or
Well,
how can it be fixed?
I also believe that we have to have a different way of managing this country, and even in the group itself, the group can't even auto manage itself. The group of people who are leading the country can't even auto manage itself. It's time for a dialogue, national dialogue. I agree with that, but a national dialogue is not going to bring a short-term solution. The short-term
Yes.
solution, what we're seeing now is regular citizens are getting armed to take on
Yeah.
their life. And Canada, the United States have been trying and spend a lot of money for nothing, trying to give some training to the police in Haiti. They sent the Kenyans. They never went to the limit of the mission. The Kenyans were supposed to be over 2,000 police from not only from Kenya, but also from Jamaica. Canada spent about what $83 million in Jamaica to train police from the Caribbean to go to Haiti. I don't believe more than 20 policemen or women went to Haiti from that training. So the international community is probably not responsible for what's happening in Haiti, but they have not been helping. The solutions that they have put on the table were not the right things to do. Were not in what in concretely uh, aimed to solve the solution in Haiti.
Professor
So
Boron, only because of time, Dr. Volsi, only because of time, we have to wrap today, but we are going to be keeping in touch with the both of you. We have run out of time completely this morning, but we will be keeping in touch with you because we would like to interview both of you again And Dr. Volsi, please keep yourself safe, and we would like to see you again alive and well, sir. So we will be keeping in touch with the both of you, and we will also be praying for you, because we can see that the church in that country is clearly under siege. Gentlemen, thank you this morning for your time and for your thoughts.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Please keep yourselves very, very, very safe. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us. Yes, sir. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit our Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page, and out at TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our app, Love 101 app, and stay connected to us, the family station, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica, Love 101 FM. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gill, and to our guests. Join me again tomorrow as we look at other issues of the day. I am Stokeley, marching at the back in the morning with Trical.
At the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we are committed to the